Honestly, I would egg Cove on. This doesn't have egg Cove on. Like, where is my, you're supposed to cut her out. Cove has a point. It wasn't a great comment. I'll marry you, Cove. You ignored Elizabeth. You were embarrassed. Why did she always have to say things like that? It wasn't fun, and she knew it. After no further replies, your sister walked ahead. You and Cove swapped uncomfortable looks. The day continued on with plenty to see and experience. You passed a few different activities that you would have liked to try out had you had the time, such as kayaking and rock climbing, but Ma said that'd have to wait for another trip. There was a little stream during the walk that you sat beside, and set out a picnic for lunch, nibbling on a selection of fruit, sandwiches, and chips. Various birds flew by overhead, and you made a game out of guessing the species that were hanging out on the trees nearby. You even managed to get a couple of them right, including the kingfisher that grabbed half of Cliff's sandwich. You were glad you got to do this in the end. You're disappointed by only having one day at the park. You thought the long trip wasn't worth only one day here. You had more fun hanging out in the RV. You hadn't had a good time with this trip. Come on. Okay, so realistically, it was 1 or 3. Come on, chat. Which one do I want? Pick one. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I'm thinking 1 or 3. One it is. You were glad that you got to do this in the end. It was definitely a special experience, and one you'd remember for a long time to come. You smiled to yourself, committing the sights and sounds to memory. Your group made it back to camp just as the sun was setting in the sky, and the stars were appearing one by one. Everyone had enjoyed different parts of it most. You really should put the word "the trip" here. You traded stories on what you thought while you were eating dinner, then afterwards you pitched in to help clean up. Yeah, as we're getting farther in the story, I'm noticing a bit more awkward, phrasing. It's not bad English, it's just awkward phrasing. You, along with Elizabeth and Cove, got to head back in the RV early and spend some time together while the parents stayed outside longer. It was nice to have space to yourselves after the cramped journey there. While Elizabeth had locked herself in the back room with her headphones, you and Cove were left in the main lounge area. Oh, I know you, chat. I know which one you want me to do. You want me to head up to the loft. Well, might as well get comfortable. Who knows how long they'll be out for. You took a seat on the sofa, while Cove sat down on the other end, tapping his fingers against his knees. You know... I see your response, Crystal. You know, I hardly ever see you wearing a jacket, especially in summer. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like wearing as few layers as possible. It's easier that way. I'd rather be cold than extra hot. It's kind of a pain to carry extra clothes around. My parents made me bring this jacket. Personally, I'm the same way. They're bulky and heavy, and they usually make me feel too warm. Cove smiled lightly at you and nodded. I've noticed. Ooh! You asked him what he liked others to wear. Hey, what kind of things do you think are nice to see on another person? Cove's eyes widened at the question, and his defensive reply seemed to slip out before he had a chance to properly think about it. Nothing! That was funny. You laughed out loud, and Cove gave you a dry look. Come on! That's not what I meant. You composed yourself and sat up straighter, with all the traces of laughter disappearing from your face. Answer with what you mean, then. Isn't there anything at all you think looks good when you see it on somebody? Cove mumbled under his breath, and you couldn't quite catch the words. Who's having a difficult time with the subject? It was a talk that made him uncomfortable, so he let it go. He had a little fun, that was enough. They changed it. You're not very good at these conversations, are you? I swear I won't make fun of you. I just thought it'd be fun to talk about. I'm thinking 1. Let's do 1. You didn't want to push him any further, so you didn't insist. The parents all arrived soon after, each of them climbing into the RV and finding some place to sit down to rest their legs. Elizabeth, having heard the commotion, came out from the room for the first time since arriving and joined you all. You spent the evening chatting and playing a few games, enjoying the last evening of the trip together. Bedtime arrived within a blink of an eye. As the group hunkered down for the night, your mom did a final round to make sure nothing had been left behind. She explained that Cliff was going to start driving early in the morning, like on the first day, but that everyone else would be letting everyone else in the group sleep. There wouldn't be a need for all of them to get up. Now was the time to check you hadn't left anything outside. You, as well as everyone else, were confident you had it all packed up inside the RV, which meant it was time to get some rest in before the journey home tomorrow. Your moms and Elizabeth said goodnight, heading to the back room, while you climbed up into the loft. Cove and his family got situated below in the previously set arrangement. You tried to get comfortable as a million thoughts were running through your mind. It was hard to believe that the trip was practically over, and before you knew it, you'd be back in your own bed, at home. You enjoyed this mini adventure. It was short, that was for sure, but you got to see and do so much during your time here. All in all, it was a nice break away from home. The minutes trickled. Tick. The minutes ticked by silently. You didn't take long for the soft snores of Cliff and Kira to drift up to you. They were asleep now. You wondered if Cove was still awake and decided to poke your head out from the loft to find out. You blinked through the dark. Looking down the hall, you noticed Cove lying on his back, his eyes staring straight up at the ceiling. His seafoam hair was spread out on his sleeping bag. He must have felt you watching him, because suddenly his eyes locked on yours. It was difficult to see much in the dim light, but you could make out a crooked smile on his face well enough. You made a silly face. Cove rolled his eyes at you, or at least you thought he did. Oh, chat, I need your opinion. Which one do we pick? 1, 2, or 3? Realistically, I would pick 3, but chat says 1, so we're gesturing him over. Cove looked unsure about it, but you were happy to see him slowly start to sit up anyway. His sleeping bag rustled as he moved, though he tried to go slow and froze up like a deer in the headlights every time someone made a sound, watching his parents for any side of movement. This is a cute scene, trust. Alright fam, I got you. Eventually, he managed to maneuver around his sleeping dad and make it to the ladder, standing at the bottom rung where he looked up to you and whispered, "What?" "Hi." Cove shook his head in disbelief, but you can see the hint of a smile peeking out. "Good night, 4." He turned right around and crept back. Oh, did I pick the wrong one? Oh, crept back to his spot on the floor. You lay down, shuffling onto your back and looking up at the rivets set in the roof of the RV through the dark. At some point, your eyes grew heavy and you gently drifted off into a deep sleep. That was cute, I gotta admit. When you woke up the next morning, it was to the rumble of the RV as it traveled through the long journey home. Still blinking sleepily, you peeked over the edge to the loft to get a glimpse at what was happening. Cove was sitting with his mom on the couch, the two of them talking quietly. He must have noticed you moving up there, because Cove's ocean blue eyes snapped to yours, and he gave you a smile. Morning, Four. Good morning, Cove. Soon, your moms and Elizabeth emerged from their room, dressed and ready for the day of travel. You spent most of the day hanging out together with the RV, severing the last few hours of vacation. Kyra suggested a few different travel games she used to play with Cove when he was younger, and you all had a great time competing against each other. When the RV finally pulled onto your street, it was well into the night, and you were looking forward to crawling in your own bed after the last few days away. Everyone must have been feeling the same, because it was mutually agreed that unpacking and cleaning the RV would wait till morning. Once home again, you went straight up to your room and dropped into your bed, choosing a... Wait. No, I was gonna say, like, isn't this Cove's room? No, it's because Cove slept in here that one time. It felt weird to be alone. You gotten so used to all the others around you all the time, as well as the rumble of the RV, that it felt oddly quiet being by yourself. With those last few thoughts drifting through your mind, it wasn't long before you dozed off to sleep. Tomorrow, life would go on like normal. Yeah, I know that feeling all too well. Come back from like a long trip, go to a different country, live a completely different life for like 2 weeks straight, come back and you're just like, man, what even is life again? All right, chat. Crystal. What do you recommend I do next? Nope, no her. Fam. Okay, family. All right. Don't forget to hydrate. Ready? The sun warmed your skin from its place in the sky, and you closed your eyes, enjoying the mix of the heat with the pleasant breeze that drove past you. You and Lee had been spread out in blanket. Lee? Is Lee the one with the rat, like the brat? Who is Lee again? Is Lee the brat, like the one with the freckles? That's Freckles, right? You and Lee had spread out a blanket on top of one of the hills behind your house and been relaxing there for a while now. Lee had come over earlier that day. Nope. Oh, man. I totally went on a picnic with a stranger. They can't be safe. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. Oh, this ain't safe. Lee had come over earlier in the day while a range of activities had been discussed. From staying home. Lee is the one we called using the telephone. Oh, I vaguely remember that. From staying home to heading down to the beach, a picnic on the hill had been the choice you both settled on. A small spread was laid out in front of you. Some bottled water, soft drinks, as well as some chips and sliced fruit. Our cousin! Oh, yeah. Got you. Okay, cool. Now I remember that. You sat up and reached for a snack, listening to Lee talk away about the musical she had gotten to see a few days ago. I think I gave her a Californian accent, right? It was unbelievable. There was singing, dancing, and crazy stunts, and it was all done live right in front of my face. Maybe one day we can go together. I'd like to see more shows like that. You smiled at Lee's enthusiasm, knowing how much she enjoyed singing and performing. And she was good at it, too. You got the chance to hear her sing a couple tunes, and you know she put a lot of effort into it. If I'm going to pick my answer, I also like to sing, and I had talent of your own. It was nice the two of you could share that interest. Oh, ad time! So, for people who don't have ads, we are going to have another continuous talk. Number one, Lee looks nothing like us. Like, yes, she's our cousin, she's distantly related, but like, Lee doesn't really resemble us whatsoever. I kind of wish that she was like based upon our character model somehow, but I think that'd also be a lot of a pain